number one secret that people don't know about is to just relax.
Nice. That's what we're talking about. Come on. Let's go.
Whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced, be sure to go to our website and check out our free javelin course. This is where I'll answer all your questions from javelin technique, nutrition, to physical preparation. The number one secret that people don't know about is to just relax. That might seem super simple, but there's a theory to it. The javelin throw looks very simple, and then you try it for the first time and you can get humbled very easily. The ability to relax your body and let the momentum from your approach to power the throw is going to be essential. Too many people try to get tight, they get fired up, they get really excited to compete, and then they end up throwing with a very tight, pushy arm action, which leads to them trying to throw the javelin actively instead of passively. This leads to shortening the throwing arm and having a pushy arm action, as well as having a very bent block leg. With the javelin, your throwing side should be passive and your blocking side should be active. That being said, it is very important to relax your throwing arm and let your body and the momentum do the work. The best athletes in the world compete their best when they are in their subconscious flow state. What that means is they're not thinking, they're not trying too hard, they're just playing the game and having fun and letting their subconscious take over. That's where training comes into play. It is so important to train hard and get the technique dialed in practice so that when you are in competition, you don't have to think about it and you can let that subconscious flow state take over and allow your body to relax and just have fun competing. If you are trying to force something, then your subconscious flow state goes away and you are actively thinking about what you're doing. Think about LeBron James making a steal and then having a breakaway dunk. You think he's thinking at that moment, that quick reaction where he's stealing the ball, running down the court and then dunking? No, he reacts to the steal and then he knows just get down to the other side as soon as possible. He's done it 1,000 times. So that subconscious flow state takes over. When a batter in baseball is sitting there at home plate and then a pitch comes in at 100 miles an hour, he doesn't have time to think. He just reacts. He's trained for it 1,000 times. He has his peripheral vision. He's comfortable in the batter's box. And then when he gets the right pitch, he just hits a home run. The batters that are thinking actively and tensed up in the box are the ones who end up striking out. Even from a physical standpoint, if you are trying to force the throw, that will cause your throwing motion to be much more rigid and lead to mobility restrictions. When you come down the runway at full speed and you hit the block, you want your arm to react to hitting the block. You do not want to actively throw as the block is hitting or actively throw before the block hits. You need to relax, let your block leg hit the ground and whip your upper body forward. Here's some ways you can tell if you are too active in your throwing motion. Number one is having a tight, pushy arm action. A tight and pushy arm action is when before the block hits, you will come in and creep in and throw from here in this position, and then you will push the arm forward. In the javelin, you want to keep your throwing arm back and allow the chest and the armpit to rotate forward and up to let these bigger muscles like the chest and the lat take over and power the throw. That's gonna allow you to leave your arm back and act as a whipping motion to come through when you're trying to throw. So if you're throwing with your arm bent like this, and you could freeze frame your throw, and you see that your arm is up and down like this, instead of back here like that, that's how you can tell you're too active. Because when you're flexing your arm, you're not gonna be able to, you're flexing your arm right here actively trying to throw, you're not gonna be able to get your arm back. But if I relax my arm, I'm able to get my arm back, no problem. Okay, so same thing from back here. We wanna be here. The other way you can tell that your throw is too active is by having no trail leg follow through and lack of hip shoulder separation. So that donkey kick follow through that we've talked about a couple times now is when that back leg turns over on the ball, that back foot, and the top of your spike is actually on the track. After the block hits, then your back leg will come up over the top and follow through. That's that donkey kick that we're talking about. And hip shoulder separation is essentially when our shoulder is back and then our hips are forward. That's where we're gonna create that tension in the pull on the javelin. So when we're throwing, we wanna make sure that our arm is back, our hips are forward, then we start the throwing motion. Because what that does is, that's using our kinetic chain effectively, where we're engaged forward this way and then we're coiled off this way. So what that does is that uses the energy from the ground to travel up the legs into the lower core, then into the oblique, then into your chest, and then ultimately into your throwing arm. That's when you're gonna whip through and follow through with the upper body, and that's how you get the most power and reactivity in your throw. If you rush this process, where the back foot and the back arm are starting to come through together instead of delayed, that's where you get no hip shoulder separation and you're having a break in the entire kinetic chain, and that's throwing off your energy transfer. So on the contrary, how you can tell if you are reactive when you throw is by having a long whippy arm in the back. When your block hits the ground, you can see, is my arm all the way back? And then do I get external rotation when I freeze frame it from the side? And then the way that you could tell to see if your lower body is reactive with the throw is by getting that donkey kick follow through. So see in your throws, does your leg come through like this? Or does it pop up over the top and follow through like you see Jan Zalesny and Johannes Vetter doing when they throw 97, 98 meters? Because if you're too active with this back side, you're gonna hit the block and blow through. But if you're reactive to it, you're gonna hit the block and then be here, and then you're gonna be able to step over after the block hits, after the hip fires, after the release. So you're being patient with it. That's the whole idea of passive and active, or reactive and active, is when you're active, you're rushing the timing of things. When you're passive, you're allowing every piece of the kinetic chain to happen one segment at a time, which allows for a much more powerful throw. Well, there it is, guys. That's the #1 secret to throw the javelin further. I hope you enjoyed that video. And if you did, please like and subscribe and follow along for more.